Good morning. Good morning. This podcast is brought to you by MinervaBeauty.com.
Welcome to the Matt Beck Podcast. Woke up this way. He's got a lot of cool stuff he's going to show you today. The latest news, industry topics, and business tips. For all hairstylists and salon owners, it's time to flip the script. Grab your precision scissors, barber combs, and swivel twist razors. Let's cut a bob, a quick shag, pixie cut with a little bit of flavor. Check out the live classes, product reviews, let's rock on. Don't forget to check out freesaloneducation.com. I woke up this way. It's going to be a great day. Chop it, clip it, spray it, flip it. I woke up this way. It's gonna be a
What's up, guys? Welcome to the podcast. Today, it's a family affair.
It is.
Today, just so you guys know, I don't know if any of you guys know or you followed along with what's happening today, but it's Bring Your Child to Work Day. So, we got Christina, we got Carly, and we got Hayden in the house. So it's going to be fun. We're going to talk hair. Obviously, me and Christina are in the room together, so if you guys have business questions, today's a good day to do it. She's also teaching Hayden how to run the computer, so that's going to be really fun as well. And then, not only are we going to do some talking, but we're going to do some hair, which I think is probably your guys' favorite part. We're going to do a men's cut. I'm going to show you guys some texturizing techniques on men's hair. And then not only are we going to do that, we are going to color the male head as well. And what I want to do with that, Carly, which I think you will probably like this technique as well,
Okay.
I'm going to do a gray blending technique. I'm going to show how I blend gray and then highlight at the same time.
Okay.
So I think that'll be cool. I'm going to show you guys some men's coloring and then plus a highlight and something that can happen quick because we all know that speed, especially with men's hair, is kind of important because the tickets aren't as high.
Yeah.
So if you don't do it fast, you don't make any money, right? So show you guys a quick technique with some men's cutting, and that's where we're going to go from there. Now, I also want you guys to start asking your questions because that's, what feeds the show as well. I do have a couple things, of course, to get us started. The first one is there was an article that I saw on ABC News that was talking about restaurants taking deposits becoming more popular for reservations because people don't show up.
Yeah.
And then this has come up in the salon quite often where people don't show up for their appointments. So I wanted to bring that up, and I wanted to first start the show with asking you guys a question out there. Do you charge to take, or do you take deposits for your appointments? Some salons do it. I don't think a lot do, but I'd like to know kind of where you guys are at with that. And it's weird not having to run the camera. So I'm like thinking I need to do that, and I don't. And thank you. That's great. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. What do you feel, Carly?
Yeah.
Do you think that, because you've been working here for almost a year, right?
Yeah, a year.
It's a year.
Yep.
So, and you've been dealing with the reservations here.
Yes.
So do you feel that this is an issue where you think that would be a good thing, or do you think it's not that common where people...
Well, I would say it is a good thing because, it is, it holds people accountable for, their appointments.
Okay.
And I feel like people are more inclined to come if they're, because an appointment is something that you obviously set up and you have for an amount of time. So like things that come up that you when you can't make an appointment, it's like you knew you had that appointment,
Right.
so you
Yeah.
should be here.
I almost would feel better because, like, you know, there's certain appointments that I don't sometimes show up for, like the dentist or like, you know, certain things. And I would almost feel better if they could just take a deposit from me instead of just canceling that appointment. So, like, I have that feeling,
Mhm.
but then I don't know if it would deter people from actually making an appointment.
Okay, yeah.
But if that deters somebody, I don't think that they were probably that committed anyways.
Right.
There are people saying that a lot of people are saying they currently don't, but they've had issues with people canceling, obviously. And Susie says for new guests she takes deposits.
Yeah,
So I think
okay.
that's one. That's initially I think maybe not a bad idea because you could take the deposit because you don't know the person really, and then as they're an existing client and you
Right.
have that relationship. But honestly, most of the time new clients show up.
Yeah.
Like I don't really find that new clients are I feel like it's when they get comfortable with you that they start calling. Like I have a guy who who consistently is just like, oh, forgot.
Yeah.
You know, like he just doesn't come in, but he's been coming to me for,
Mhm.
8, 9, 10 years. So, so I'd love to get your guys' feedback. Post in the comments so that I can see what your salon's doing.
I like the 3-strike rule, like, okay, you didn't show up for 1,
Yeah.
and then like maybe after like 2, you have to have like that talk, like, okay, like, it's been a habit of yours that you have canceled, and just have that conversation, like maybe we should start, either you prepay for your service,
Yeah.
or you'll be charged a certain percent, if you don't show up.
What do you think, Chris? Do you have an opinion? I can't see you over there.
Sorry.
Oh, did I? Is the mic far from you? Mic far from you?
Just a little bit.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay. I don't know. I struggle with this opinion. I think I agree and see both points of view.
Okay.
I think like anything, it's probably just developing the dialogue of what the appointment, like Carly just said, like you have to bring it up to that guest's attention or there'll be repeat offenders.
Yeah.
I think that's really what it is. But I do understand. I don't understand the new client. Like I feel like new clients are ready, willing, excited to get in your chair.
Yeah.
For the most part. So.
Okay.
That's my point of view.
Yeah, I think I am in total agreements with that. Ruby's saying that she takes 25% deposit. Know your worth. I agree. I don't know if 25% is really making it your worth, though. I think that's...
I think the clients aren't there yet. Like, I feel like, now that you can rebook online, this and that, I don't think it's there to be like, ooh,
yeah,
I'm going to... I feel like almost I would have a different opinion if a salon made me. It would have nothing to do with their worth.
Yeah.
I wouldn't relate the two together.
And I think... Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's why I'm torn, because I don't know if customers are ready for that deposit, and I think we're getting into a world of more convenience, like you're saying, Chris. Like online booking, a lot of times on our online booking, we do require a credit card. So I think once it moves into that being the number one way of making an appointment, but if somebody's calling in, I feel like they are very serious about making that appointment. And if it was a new client that didn't show up at that point, I think then as soon as they called back in to reschedule, I would say, I'd put them maybe on a list or something and say, you have to put a deposit down just because you didn't show up to the last one.
Now, if I was doing if I was so busy or worked in a shop that there were a lot of walk-ins or that was how it was, like there might be a different conversation here.
Yes.
I was scheduling every 15 minutes in a barbershop or something. I don't know.
That brings up another point that kind of drives me nuts is when people are complaining about no shows, but they're not fully busy and they're in the break room a lot.
That's exactly
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's where I really struggle with it, because most people are not 99% booked all the time, and the ones that are absolutely should guard their book a lot better, because it really can screw things up. But when you are in the break room a lot, you have no reason to complain about people not showing up, and probably there's a reason why you're in the break room a lot.
Yeah.
Like, and that's just, I think, the truth with the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially if you've been doing hair for a while, like, you have to really kind of take a step back and say, why are people not showing up, and why am I not 99% booked?
Mm-hmm.
And it probably has a lot to do with what you're focused on, right? So I think I think it gets into good conversation, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts, over the next few days. I want to see the comments, but that's where we're at on that. But I just thought it was interesting talking about what is it? The restaurants taking deposits. Would you go to a restaurant and put down a deposit to go there?
Yes.
You would?
It depends on the...
McDonald's I wouldn't. But obviously
That's a fast food
I know,
chain.
but like a nicer place I definitely would. And I wouldn't even think it was that weird. And honestly,
But like, if I show up, is my table gonna actually be ready? Like, if you know what I mean? Like,
well, at a nice place, it would, I think, because like honey
I had to
took
put a deposit down for, I think it was Mother's Day when we did brunch at Nebraska. Remember, guys?
Okay.
And I was a little bit late,
Okay.
like usual, and they didn't seat the whole party yet. And that was my one thing, though. I put a deposit down, and
I remember.
so
that.
I
Yeah.
already kind of, I feel like they should have set our guests that waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we were about 5 minutes away.
Right.
Agreed.
So I
Yeah.
think your service should match what this,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
that's a good point too. Like
Mhm.
if you're gonna do these things, step up
Mm-hmm.
your service
Right.
and the experience of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see you over there.
I'm right here. I can't
I
look
know.
at you and talk in the microphone.
I know. All right. So that's that one. All right, let's go into the next. And then
so far away.
I know. I just can't see you. I love seeing you.
Has anyone said we sound the same?
Oh wait, here's Debbie. Debbie says it all boils down to the relationships. How do you show up to their appointment? Are you always somebody's just spamming it up.
Wow.
Okay, here we go. Do you respect their time? I totally agree. That's kind of what we're saying as well. Christine is saying my book is full all the time. I'm a machine most of the day. When we need to get like the machine t-shirts. When someone doesn't show up, it's like a bomb went off. Now what?
Totally, and the arms can be like like a
I thought you were agreeing
a
with her.
scissor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, that's a
like
good
a
shirt.
superhero.
Yeah.
That's a good shirt. I'm a machine. I work in a nail salon at the moment, and I took a break from hair. I will find someone to do petty and ask if the client wants a mani at the same time. Chase that paper. Chase that paper. It doesn't grow on trees. No,
Yeah.
I mean, paper does. Paper. Okay. It doesn't grow. I mean, money doesn't grow on trees. I get it. All right. Step up the wow factor. I agree. We have a cancellation fee if they don't cancel at the 24-hour mark. It's rarely enforced, and that's what I was going to say. So that's the problem. Like, we put these things in. Like, everybody has it on their website. Like, cancel within 24 hours, and we're going to charge
Because
you.
it all boils down to the ball is in the consumer's court. Like, it's
Yeah.
fear. You don't want to lose that client. Look at you. You have someone that's been coming to you for 8 years, and they do this constantly to
Yeah.
you. And
But
actually,
I
you're
love
not
when he
really
doesn't
afraid.
show up.
I know. I'm like, wait a minute. You really don't. You're like, I wish I didn't have to do like work behind the chair anymore.
I've
I love
built-
teaching.
Because I do love teaching. I would rather do this all day than but that's just that's me.
You did cancel. this week.
He canceled?
Yeah. But
See?
like he didn't.
But he called this
not
time.
no-show. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the difference.
I think we're
He
getting
just
somewhere.
did. He's listening.
Oh, that's awesome. All right.
I just want to say Hayden's doing an awesome job with the cameras.
Yeah, Hayden.
Is he officially running them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
just quit school and come do this.
Don't make
I know.
my job look so easy.
Okay. I love like Hayden. I wish I was Hayden and bring your kid to work day. We were learning about HDMI cables this morning, and he's running cameras. All right. Then next will be shampooing and
Yeah.
sweeping hair.
Yep.
Well, that's what we got to do next. That's not the fun part. All right, cool. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Honestly, I feel like that was a good segment for the podcast. If you guys are listening to the audio portion of this later in life and you want to watch the men's cutting and coloring part, leave iTunes, leave Anchor, go to YouTube, and you can watch the full show. We also repost the hair part about a week later, so you'll be able to catch up on the hair part. If you want to travel with us, take us to the gym, the audio portion of this is the way to go. So check that out on iTunes. Those of you guys watching. So, all right, I'm going to get ready. I'm pretty much ready, but let me get the mic on and all of that stuff, and then we're going to get started. Here we go. So. You guys hear me? All righty. All right, so I think there we go. What's up, guys? Today, what we're going to focus on is we're going to do a men's cut. I'm going to clean up the sides. What I want you guys to understand with what we're doing today, I also want to know, is the sound. Let's get our numbers for the sound. Does it sound like a 10? Does it sound like a 1? 10 being great, 1 being not great before we get started. So post that. Today, what we're going to focus on is men's cutting. I really want to get in depth with not really the fade part of it. I'm not a barber. I am a hairdresser. A lot of my guys get more natural, lived-in looks. So I'm going to show you guys some texturizing techniques. I'm going to show you some clipper techniques and also ways to texturize the top. And then at the end, I'm going to show you guys a color technique real quick that will actually blend gray, even though there's no gray really on this mannequin. I'm going to show you guys the technique of that, and then a highlight throughout the top. I'm going to show you guys a way that I like to do that, just to add a little bit of highlight, a little pop of brightness to your guys for the springtime. So, all right, cool. So first things first, I sectioned off the head. So I'm going to zoom in. Here we go. Okay. So I sectioned off right at the parietal ridge. And really, it's kind of like yesterday, if you guys were watching. If you weren't, we went a little bit lower on the parietal because we were working. Wait, that was a couple days ago. Curly hair. The curly hair day. Curly hair and men's hair, I like to start a little bit lower because it's easy for me to blend and decide where I want that weight to shift on their head. So I keep it a little bit lower and I work my way up. Also, when you're working with a clipper, you can tend to, if you go too high on the parietal ridge up here and you're working that clipper, you get too heavy right away anyway, so you end up going in and cutting it. So I go a little bit lower and I'll work my way through there. The other thing, clipper I'm going to use, this is the Andis NV cordless clipper. I like a cordless clipper because it's just easier for workflow and less clutter. And I also use these magnetic Andis clipper guards. So I'm going to start off with a 2-guard, and I'm going to make that 2-guard fully open. So this would be the shortest it goes, and when you spread it out, this adds a little bit of length, makes it a little bit longer than a 2, and I'm going to work through that way. I'm also going to use the YS Park. This is a barbering comb. It's a little bit wider. It's really flexible. Teeth are a little weird. So you got the YS Park comb. I like to use a comb that's about the size of the trimmer that I'm using, so that if I'm doing any trimmer over comb work, it slides right across. Also, when you use like a regular YS Park comb, it's a little rough around the bone of the comb, so the clipper doesn't slide as easy. When you use this comb, it's nice. It glides right across. So just kind of easier ways to do things so you're not struggling with the tools that you have. So I'm going to start off. When I turn the clipper on, I'm going to work my way up in the direction that the hair grows, but then as I get to the top part, I'm just going to rock out with the clipper. So I go up the hair, passing the clipper over, and then when I get to that groove, I just want to add a little bit of a weight line. So basically what I'm thinking in my mind is I want to come up and then out at about a 45-degree angle. What that's going to do is build me a little bit of graduation. That's the difference. This is all layering. This is graduation here. So it's just like cutting hair. You got to pick your angles. And as I go up, I'm just rocking out with the clipper at a 45-degree angle and building up that weight. So I basically picture a line that goes just like this, straight up this way. So my clipper, when it comes up in the hair, I then go out in that 45-degree angle. So the other thing that I like to focus on with men's cutting is that I like to balance along the ridge of the head. So you have the parietal ridge, but then I follow down the crown of the head to the occipital bone. So that weight line is almost like a pivot along the ear. So I work my way around this way. That way I get a nice kind of balance to the weight within the head shape. All right. So clipper going through 45 degrees, and then I'm working my way around the ear, allowing that weight to drop down. All right. So just passing that clipper out, keeping that weight dipping down. I don't want to go all the way up into the hair and cut that off and make this super high. You could if it's more of a high fade, but for this look, I want it to be nice and natural and really work with their head shape. I'm also not worried about this blending yet because I'm just getting the length off the bottom and starting that weight line and creating that outline. Then I'll go through and fine tune it, either scissor over comb or clipper over comb later. And then right here, I'll tilt his head down and I'll go right up to the occipital bone. And again, coming up and passing that clipper out at that 45-degree angle. Somebody mentioned yesterday that they would love to see me cut human beings. And I just want to say that the reason I love working on mannequins is I get to choose exactly what we go over, what the lesson is, and it's not the person dictating it every single time. I think that's a key thing in the salon, is to obviously please the guest. But if I brought in models every single day to be able to teach this stuff, which we will occasionally have a live model, but if I brought in a live model all the time, I'm going to cut this short. We wouldn't have the freedom to really just be specific with what we're teaching. All right, so working up, and again, at that 45-degree angle, building out that weight line. if you guys have questions, we can see them in the chat, so just go ahead and ask. Using the ear as a pivot point. All right, so now, see, I'm going to take this up just a little bit more. It's up just a little bit more. All right. So now let's clean up the edges. And this, obviously, this would be the only benefit of actually doing a human. But I don't really want to focus on this part today, so that's why I'm getting through it quick. I want to focus on the texturizing and all that. I'm just going to go through, clean up the edges. Not square them off, do a nice little rounded shape. This trimmer is the Andis T trimmer. I like that. I like this one because I like a T trimmer because it gets around the ears really well, or any little edges that you need to get to. So, question is, do I prefer metal or plastic guards? Now, here's the thing. I have both. Metal guards, metal blades, really. There's a difference between... Back this out. So there's a difference between metal guards, or metal blades, and plastic guards. So the plastic guard goes over the blade. And then with that, with the blade, let me see. Let me try to explain this. So these are guards, right? This is a blade. When you have the metal blades, they are different thicknesses, right? But they don't match up to the same, like a 2 blade is not the same as a 2 guard. A 2 guard is definitely longer than a 2 blade. So it's really important as you're working through everything to make sure that if you use metal blades and somebody says, I would like a 2 on the sides, which you have to be the professional at that point and decide what a 2 is, you don't go in with a 2 blade and think it's the same thing. So I like using both, but I also find that the blades, because they don't have this adjustment to it, when you're doing a little bit tighter fades, you need that kind of that adjustment to go maybe a half step to get that fade happening. So just make sure, especially as a stylist, to know that there's a big difference between these plastic guards, which I actually really like these Andis ones. You get it for $20 on Amazon. I like these plastic guards a lot, and I like the flexibility of being able to rotate this arm here. So a lot of the Andis clippers, you'll see whether they're corded or cordless, you're going to see that they have this arm, and that's what you really want to be able to make those fine adjustments in there. All right, last little bit for the detail. All right, so that's just getting the hair off the edges. Now what I want to do is I'm going to show you guys a couple things. I want to show you clipper over comb, and I want to show you guys scissor over comb. So clipper over comb, is kind of the same concept as rocking the clipper out at 45 degrees. So what I'm going to do is put the comb in and tilt it back at 45 degrees, and that's where I'm going to drag the clipper across. So I'm going to zoom in. And I'll show you guys that. So you lift up just like this. I completely close the clipper. So instead of it being out, I go all the way down to the blade. And then I lift the hair up into the comb and I make my first pass. Where I'm seeing my guide is what's underneath the hair. So I lift up and I can see underneath there where the hair is, and I come through and I cut. And we're going to work in a diagonal back form all the way down the head shape. Just blending in that weight line. So you can see the weight line coming through. Lift it. Passing that clipper over it. Is this quieter? So this is usually the question that happens about the quietness of the tools, and that's because the microphone is meant to not pick up background sound. So it's only picking up this sounds like a regular clipper. You probably barely even hear it on the video. So here's the other thing that I want to do. As I'm working through, thanks Carly. As I'm working through now, on the one side I worked from the front of the head back. So I want to do the same thing on this side. So I lift the hair just like that, and now I'm going to work backhand and glide the clipper across. So I'm just lifting the hair and gliding the clipper across. One thing that works for me, it doesn't work for everybody, but I like to put a couple fingers on the head as I hold the comb. So you can see that I got a couple fingers there. That helps me keep the comb steady and where I want it to be. And then I follow back from there. That works for me. Sometimes with people with smaller hands, it doesn't work as well, but give it a shot. You can see if it works for you. So I'm just following that weight all the way through down to the bottom of the head. So I've worked diagonal back here, diagonal back on the other side. And now we're going to work up the back in just a sec. So now I'll go straight up the back, just softening that weight line, connecting everything together. Okay, so now you can see that we're starting to build up some weight in the crown area. I actually really like that because I feel like it fills out the head shape nicely. Instead of flattening the back of the head, you get this kind of buildup of weight. So I'm going to go through with my scissor. We're going to do some scissor over comb work now. So we're going to drop the clippers out. Not drop it. No, not actually drop it. So scissor over comb. The biggest difference between clipper over comb and scissor over comb is just literally the tool, because the motion and how you hold the hair is the same. So I'm going to turn this like this, lift it up into the comb, and then I'm just going to detail. The reason I choose to finish with scissor over comb is that when you're doing clipper over comb, you lift the hair into the comb and then you pass over and it cuts a really blunt line. When you do scissor over comb, I can actually glide the hair up as I'm working and soften any line that happens. So that's really hard to do with a clipper. You have to kind of go back and forth over it. With a scissor, you just glide just like that, and you can lift and soften any weight lines that are in it. So I think of the clipper as kind of the the mass cutter, like so going through and taking out a lot of the bulk, the weight, getting the length where you want it, because that happens quick. If I were to go through and do scissor over comb on everything, it would take me a very long time. I'd have to charge $150 for his haircut because it would take a good, a good amount of time. Maybe not $150. That might be extreme. But you'd have to charge a lot for the haircut. So being able to do your clipper work, go through quickly, and then fine tune and detail everything with the scissor to reserve that appointment, the deposit on that appointment. So here we go, just softening through. So again, your guide comes from underneath. How would you approach it if the client had a cowlick near the temple area? I have a client that always has a fluffy spot in that area and it puffs out no matter how I cut it. So any guy that I have that has a cowlick, I think that I have a client that I can think of right now that has a cowlick right in the front of his head. And what I do is I show him different techniques that he can use to style and blow dry. He doesn't have to blow dry all of his hair, but the part that has the cowlick, I just teach him how to deal with it. Because there's not really a cut. There's definitely a way to cut hair to keep maybe a little bit of length so that when they do dry it or they put product in it, they can manage it a little bit better. You could even do an undercut if they're in the temple area, take it much tighter and then have a little bit of a disconnection. That could be an option. I don't really know specifically what your guy's hair looks like, so it makes it a little bit harder to say exactly what I would do, but off the top of my head, that's where my mind would go is, could I teach him to style it? Could I teach him to blow it dry? Just maybe use a comb with a little bit of tension, blow it dry in that area if it really bothers him, and then do your styling. I charge $45 for a men's cut, and it takes me about 20 minutes, 30 minutes sometimes. For the process that we're doing now, with color and everything, I would take about 45 minutes, and I would charge about $75 for what we're doing now. But that's all relative to the area. Our average haircut in New Hope is... average male cut is definitely like $30, $35, I would say. Average women's cut is about $60. So think about that in your area and what you can charge for about a 30 to 45 minute service. All right, so now I'm going to split this right down the center, and I'm going to start to blend the sides, the back, and the top of the haircut. So we're working on the cowlick in the back. Now, obviously a mannequin doesn't have a strong cowlick, but anytime I have a guest that has a cowlick in the back, I'll leave a little extra length. I also, you can see that it's not directly in the center where this little spin is built out of. So I will kind of, after I get it combed down the center, I'll take a look at where that hair really wants to fall, and that's where I'm going to comb it to. So I'm going to let this hair fall that way. So I might part it down the center, but I want this swirl to go where it's going to live, and then I'm going to build the haircut off of that, because there's no way that a guy is going to be forcing this hair in the back of his head that he can't even see, that he's going to force it to live somewhere where it doesn't want to live in the first place. So I comb everything in the direction off of that swirl. If they have two, I build it off of all of that. I would separate one of them, do my cut on one side, and then do the cut on the other. But then I'm going to build all of my lines and weight removal off of that swirl in the cut. Okay. I hope I'm answering that question that just came through about the cowlicks. Yeah, I think I got that one. Yeah, I wouldn't change. So if you're talking about kids cuts or grown men cuts, they're not really different. So I would recommend, as like you go through any men's cut that I've done, that you just listen to the techniques and the tips that are in it, like cutting the calic area. A lot of kids have calics. You know, everything that I'm doing in this cut, you could definitely transfer into a kid's cut, besides the holding still part. All right, so now I'm going to bring the hair out. I'm going to give it a slight elevation, but you can see that this is 90 out from that point, the swirl point. So I want it to be at about 45 degrees. That's going to have it lay nice with a nice soft graduation to it. So I'll go through and I start cutting. Then I comb that down. I pivot like a pizza pie. And then I shift that to the previous section. So we're going to work with a traveling guide. I'm going to work around, keeping that same angle. So point from here, bring this up, bring it back to the previous. And that's how I like to cut almost all calics. And then if it's even more extreme, it needs more kind of like a little more TLC, it's not really being under control, then what I'll do is teach them to blow it dry if it really bothers them. But you can see it lays nice and soft, and this also keeps the flow of the head shape with the weight. So I'll do the same thing on the opposite side. From the point, from the swirl, take my parting, bring it back to the previous section. Right here. Keeping the top of my fingers at that 45-degree angle, keeping a little bit of length. Off of the swirl. Back to the previous. Cut. And I work my way all the way around until I get behind the ear. And then I can start working on the sides and the top. Okay, so that is the calic area. Now, everything that I do here is going to be traveling until I get to wherever the point is where I want to push extra weight. So I'm combing everything forward. Okay, so April. So April's saying that she gets a lot of these, this type of men's cut, right? This type of cut. But it gets puffy. So here's a couple of things that I think happen, and why I approached it the way that I did. I go lower on parietal ridge. So now the work that I'm doing is now in my fingers, and I can control this a little bit better. I think a lot of times people go a little high or they don't section. They clip her up and then they leave an extra bulkiness around the parietal ridge. And because of the shift of the head shape, quickly things get poofy and out of control. So you want to make sure that as you're coming around this, you are aware of what the head shape is doing. So I take it now, I'll blend it around the head shape a little bit more, and then as I get to the top of the head, then I'll come up and leave a little extra length to the top. So a little extra blending. That's what I'm talking about, is the sides. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So this is the sides that we're working on. If it gets poofy here, you got to just take it shorter. We're talking about this corner. Well, if this gets, if you're talking about this, what? So if it's the sides that are poofy, you just take them shorter. You would just keep going. You would go shorter. You could definitely go shorter and then connect it all. I'm assuming, because this is never really an issue on a guy of getting poofy, because you just go shorter, that you're working on this corner, this edge, connecting it to the bottom, and that's where it expands and gets poofy. That would be my guess. I can't say poofy anymore, though. All right. So now I bring this up, and I'm still connecting it to this bottom point here. And that's where, if you left that bottom point too long with your clipper work, then you would have a very extreme weight happening. So we go through, we connect it, and then this elevation goes up into the center point, and this is going to be a little bit longer, a little more length to work with. So we're working around. This lays pretty flat because it's completely layered at this point. And then once I'm going to go one more step short here, connecting it just like this. And then this is now going to become a stationary guide. So now the rest of the hair all the way to the front will get pulled back to that point. I think with creating length in the front of a haircut, sometimes people will overdirect too far back. And when you overdirect too far back, you push way too much weight into the front. You don't really need that much. But it is good to have on your guys to have a little extra length in the front to mess with later. I'll bring back the last bit. Here. You're going to see how much length this, in just this little bit of time, we pushed forward, which is quite a bit. You can see how much goes in the front there. All right. Now we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side here. Still standing behind the head and working that length. Like that. Bring it back to me. Just back to the previous. And now I'm going to recomb because I lose my tension right here at the bottom of my fingers, and shift to make sure that I'm not having any extra length in there. So one more, and then that's where I'll start my over direction. Right here. So now all this is going to come back to that point now. I think what people don't take into consideration, cut myself. What people don't take into consideration is when you get to the front, what happens with the head shape is it starts to bend forward. So this over direction, this last inch of hair is actually way more extreme than what's up here on the very top of the head. So you have to take that curve into consideration with the density that you're building up, or the length. So you go point cut. This is coming all the way back here. Stationary guide. Then when we comb it forward, you can see that length. Okay. So now you can see this shorter texture through here, but then it gets nice and long in the front. We can cut into that, and we're going to do some texturizing techniques to play around with that here. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is blow it dry real quick because I don't want to color it wet. And Carly, if you want to start mixing that color, we're actually going to mix the this one, not these. And then just a little bit of that, tiny bit. All right. You could do like half. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna blow it dry. And I'm gonna blow dry this with two different thoughts in mind. So the first time I blow it dry is for the cutting part. Then I'm gonna blow it dry for the color, which I'll show you guys just a little bit different technique for that. So blow drying everything flat wrapping it. Letting that swirl do its thing. All right. Yes, so over directing, if you wanted less weight here, then over direct it less. Or don't over direct it so far. Just keep continuing forward. And then maybe in the last section, just over direct it a slight bit. They're not telling me that. Question mark. Question mark. I don't want to reduce weight. I want the weight. All right, so now I'm going to grab my texturizing scissor. I'm going to show you guys a couple techniques with that. So what I do is I comb the hair forward. Oh. This mannequin actually does have some gray hair. So I comb the hair forward. And I'm going to take my texturizing scissor just like this, and I'm going to pass at a diagonal all the way through, cutting channels. I think they call this channel cutting. And I'm going to work my way through just like that, creating those kind of gaps and shorter pieces in the hair. So what that's doing is it's taking out some bulk at the base of the hair, but also not doing it in like horizontal chunks. You're going at a diagonal, it's just taking it a little bit softer. So you pass through the one way coming through. You could do this with a normal scissor as well, but I think using a blending scissor is a little safer. And then coming back the opposite direction across the head this way and coming through. Okay. So if somebody has a receding hairline, who's asking this? Laura. So if somebody has a receding hairline, how would you do this cut? If they have a receding hairline on the sides. I mean, I don't know. So if they're receding right here, I think that this is a great cut. I actually have a couple clients. I would take this a little bit shorter, but not much, right? So anytime somebody's receding somewhere and you can push a little extra weight, not too extreme to make it look fake or look like they're covering something, but to have that little bit of extra weight in the very corners of the head here where it's receding, that's, to me, the key thing. Oh, okay. All right. So that's the first technique. Now I'm going to go through and do a little bit of point cutting, just in the actual shape that I did right on the sides, just to soften things up a little bit. The softer these lines, the easier it is for your guys to style it. That's what I think anyways. So just having these hard lines makes things thicker. So especially with the person that was asking about the sides being really thick, going in and just softening it up a little bit can really help, not necessarily when you style it, but when they style it out. And I'm going in really vertical or kind of parallel to the hair so that I don't remove the line necessarily. I just soften it. So there's that. So now the last little bit, I want to take even more of this weight out, and I also want to have kind of like an angle to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to section off. I'm going to section off across the top, a diagonal line across here, and I'm going to clip away some of the hair and just keep out about an inch of the hairline, just like that. And I'm going to start slide cutting on this side of the head. So what I'll do is I'll keep my scissor here, and I'll slide down, remove a little bit of this weight, like this, and I'll pull pieces of this hair over to me. So it becomes more stationary. Just keep pulling them over. It's another good way if somebody's got receding hair to not be elevating and cutting, keeping it at the length that you want it, and going in and cutting and texturizing. So just bringing all of it over. Sorry, Johnny. I don't know what. We're seeing all of the questions. You know what I think is weird? I don't think the community page, Facebook, I don't think those questions show up here. Because I've been noticing that after. Like, I see all the other Facebook pages, but for some reason I don't see the community page. I don't know if that's like just a problem that it has. I don't know. All right. But thanks for joining, Johnny. Appreciate it. What is the style you're going for? When would I cut this haircut on someone? What would they ask for? This is just a texturized men's cut. I think it's good. Like this, if somebody wanted a new style, maybe a little extra length, not super short on the sides. I think when you look at, I was even looking at the, actually I have a picture of it. The Avengers, the fashion show that they did, or not the fashion show, the red carpet thing. The premiere, that's what it is. The Avengers premiere, this guy. I don't know. I don't know the Avengers at all, but I know I'm the worst. This guy. Here. Thor.
Oh my gosh, Matt.
I don't know this stuff.
So you don't even know.
I've never seen any of them. So this guy. So if somebody asks for the Chris Hemsworth cut and color, that's what we're doing. This is the style that we were going for. So there we go. So let me focus. So what I liked, oh, I can even get closer. So the highlights, the lightness, the texture, his is a little bit shorter when it gets into the side part, but not much shorter, honestly. And I think when I look at what some of the guys are wearing now, like they're still wearing fades and tight haircuts, but some people are moving out of it, I think. I don't know if... Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, Brad Pitt's. But it's Thor. We're cutting Thor's style. So just removing that weight, because anytime you have that bulky and you want the texture and you want it to kind of shoot up in the air, you need it to be nice and light, but we still want the length. So just going through, cutting, sliding out with your blending scissor gives it that texture and movement in there. All right. So Marcus, I hope that answered your question. Now we're going to do the coloring. And with the color, So Carly mixed the color up. I want to show you guys how I like to set myself up for the color, and that's with blow drying the hair up, directly up in the air first, then going in and coloring it. So I'm going to start off. I brush the hair so I can get it untangled, get all those loose hairs that we cut out of it. And I'm going to use the heat from the blow dryer to get the hair up in the air. So really blow drying the hair in the direction you normally wouldn't, just to get that height. So now he's got that volume. He looks like that baby that's like gone viral on the internet. The baby that's like viral on the internet. Kind of does. Well, he doesn't look like it. All right. Yep. So I'm going to take a little bit of hair product, very little, but I'm going to take, this is the Maverick Dry Paste. And here's why I use a little bit of product before I lighten the hair. Because I can take, right now, the hair is very fluffy. So what I'll do is I'll take and I'm going to create almost like little spikes in the hair with my hands, separating pieces. And then when I have those pieces separated, then it's easier to apply lightener to the ends of it. I don't know, ask Dave. That's what I do to Dave. His hair is shorter, yeah. Bleach isn't going to get on the color. So what I'm going to do for gray blending, what I like to do, and this is gray blending, not fully covering. If you need to fully cover somebody, it's a different technique. But for gray blending, this is the Paul Mitchell 10-minute color for men. Few different shades that it comes in. We're going to use the dark warm. It's natural. I always mess up if it's natural and neutral. So this is dark warm natural. Good for like levels 1 to 3, I think. And then you have medium, which is good for like up to that level 6. And then you have light for those really light haired male guests. So what I like about men's color is that it comes in just a few shades. So you have dark cool natural, you have dark neutral, and dark warm natural. So if they have any warm tones in their hair, you go with the warm. If they're really cool, no warmth, then go with the cool. And it's just a simple process. It only goes on for 10 minutes, which is the time-saving part. So we mixed up the dark, warm, natural, and I'm going to paint that into the sides. So what I'll do is I'll start feathering it diagonally in the hair and working it through. I don't cover everything. This color, you can cover everything and it will still give you a nice blend. But for me, I like to just kind of paint it on diagonally first. Then what I'll do is comb it through at the very end. So painting it on a diagonal into the hair, really work it into those sideburns because they're usually the most resistant, and then working down the sides. I always keep my brush kind of sideways as I paint through, and I'll work into the parietal ridge area, but I'll leave out some of the parts that I want to do. The lightener on. There's going to be a question, what if the lightener touches this color? It's fine. It's not going to make it a weird color or anything. You obviously wouldn't want to color the whole head, then put lightener over it. So try not to let it touch, but if it glides together in that mid part, it's not going to kill anything. So that is how I blend the sides. Then we go through with the lightener. Carly, you mind holding this? Probably should have wore gloves. This is Paul Mitchell Synchro Lift, which I'll show you guys with 20 volume. I like to use 20 volume with men's hair because I don't want it. I'm just trying to pop the brightness in here and not get it to be too crazy. So we'll go through here, and I'm going to take some of these pieces that we've added the product to and paint it on those. I probably should have wore gloves, but life goes on. I'll complain about it later. Painting it through that way and just working these pieces. That's why using the product helps, because it separates the hair really well for you to go in and then paint. I'm not going all the way to the root. This is just for the ends of the hair, just to paint onto the tips. And I'll just work my way through highlighting the ends. What is this guy's name again? Thor? Chris Hemsworth. Hair color. And so I'm picking up some of these pieces. I don't need it to be heavily saturated with lightener. This isn't like women's hair. I'm really just trying to pop some lightness. What I love about coloring guys' hair, and I color about 80% of my guys, is that they pay you to make it look like you didn't do anything, right? Because they don't want to walk in the next or go home and be like, oh my gosh, what did you do to your hair color? It's more just adding natural stuff to it that enhances the look, right? Now, Chris Hemsworth, his is a little more enhanced. It was left on a little bit longer. So if they're looking for that, he lives in California too. Jeez, you guys know. Oh, okay. Okay, and we're painting it through, and that is that. So then what I'll do is I let that process for the same amount of time, usually with my guys trying to keep it more natural. I let this process for the same 10 minutes that this is on, and it's usually light enough and didn't go too extreme. Today I want to pop a little bit more brightness into it, but we're gonna finish up the podcast, let this process, we'll get it shampooed, and then we'll show you guys the end result here live. So hold on to your. We're going back on to the podcast part. Okay. And I got to reset the questions. So if you guys have been asking questions, I apologize. It quit showing us the questions for a sec. So we'll answer your questions now on the show. So 1 second. All righty. Back at it. Okay. So, hope you guys liked it. Let me see if I can see what's going on with the questions here. Get everything going again. Reload. Okay. As that reloads, post your questions if you have questions. Again, I apologize if we didn't see them because the chat kind of stopped over there. So start posting your questions again if you want. If you have questions about the technique, it's processing now. Then we're going to get it shampooed. I like to fully show you guys this completed. So hang in there with us if you want to see it. If you want to watch it later, you can do that as well. All right. So to finalize the podcast part, actually, and Chris, I want to talk to you about this because we've had a discussion many times about blow drying, correct blow dry techniques, and iron temperatures, and all of these different things. And there was a article I saw on Apple News that is saying that all the things that you're doing wrong when you're blow drying hair, and it was consumer based. So I want to make sure that the hairdressers out there are educating their customers on the correct ways of blow drying so that they don't damage their hair. Because nice, I feel that a lot of people, and you know what's cool, Chris? Now that Hayden can run the cameras, you could sit in this chair and you could actually have a camera on you. Oh, yeah. So he can stop going to school now and just do this with us.
Can't afford him.
All right, cool. I'm seeing the chat coming. I'm seeing the chat coming back up. So I will keep posting your questions. I'll go back and answer them all with the technique. So blow drying. So they're saying that what people were told that they're doing wrong is not using product was the first one. So
She'll get you. She'll get you for that. For that too.
Did you say amen?
Yeah.
Where's the microphone? Can't hear you.
Sorry.
Wait, why did you say amen?
You have to use product.
Oh, you have to use product. Okay, I was like, she's not
Yeah.
using product, and
Yeah,
you said
I
amen.
yell at Carly.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's true.
Like when I stay at the house and I'm blowed, she'll come in. Did you use the product?
What kills me is she doesn't pack her products.
Pack your products,
And
people.
then she's at the house.
Your products,
And
people.
then she's at the house and she doesn't even ask us, like me for mine. And she just starts blow drying her chemically treated hair.
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
a bad example, but definitely use them.
You're learning though.
Yeah.
So that's good.
No, she knows.
I know.
She's just 20.
You know what it
Right.
is though? I don't think they teach this stuff. Like you should know it because of beauty school though.
No.
But they don't teach the importance of what products really do.
Yeah.
I don't think.
I don't really. I mean, I don't remember really even getting much of a product knowledge class
Yeah.
in school. I think we just kind of got one, and that was that.
That's the funny thing about this this industry is that now like product companies are having issues with product sales in salon, right? And they're trying to figure out, well, why are people buying on Amazon? And hairdressers are upset and angry because Amazon is selling products now, and they feel like they're cutting into their profits or whatever.
Mhm.
But at the same time, we're not educating enough. And these articles that blow me away that somebody would not use product knowing that, but use hot tools like crazy. Like
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like if you don't want to use products on your hair, that's one thing, but don't then then use hot tools,
Yeah.
right?
I think, honestly, if you don't treat your hair chemically or color your hair, you're probably all right. Like, seriously. If you don't wash your hair every single day and put hot tools on it every single day,
If it just air dries.
if it air dries, but if let's just say you don't even chemically treat your hair and you do use a blow dryer and or a tool, like even 5 days a week, I still think your hair will probably be fine.
right.
But if you color your hair, you have to use products before you blow dry.
Yeah.
And then after, before you use a hot tool.
Yep.
You have to.
Mhm.
I have so many friends that are like, oh, my ends are just no. Like the last time I'm like, well, did you switch up your blow dryer? Did you use oh no, I ran out of that. It's like, well, that's why your ends look like that.
Well,
Yeah, that's why.
and I've noticed a difference. Like because when I do use the tools, I use even up to the shampoo. It's like the Awapui,
Yeah.
the Mirror Smooth shampoo,
Yeah.
and then when you get out, the I have a heat protectant for the blow dryer, the Neuro heat, the Prime, Forever Blonde Dramatic Repair, and then when
And this is not brand sponsored. I don't care what brand you're
and
using.
then
Mhm. It could be
like
brand sponsored though.
I mean, if you're looking to employ
want.
a child, so we can make
and then like when I curl my hair or flatten iron my hair, then I use like a hot off the press
Yeah.
or like another thermal protectant,
Yes.
and I've noticed a difference between
there is a difference. I
Your hair is-
swear.
yeah.
Your hair was falling out of your head almost. It was close.
It was.
So it's definitely a big difference. So that's the first thing. So use product.
Mhm.
The next one was I was blow drying in the wrong direction, therefore opening up my cuticle and creating frizz. So I think that this is a good tip to tell your customers if they don't know that the way that you hit the blow dryer on the hair. So if you blow dry and you're blow drying up the hair strand, you're opening the cuticle, you're roughing up the cuticle, so you get a frizzier result. And also, you need to blow dry the hair in the direction you want it to lay anyways. Like when we just did the men's hair thing, I blew dry the hair straight up because I wanted it to go up. But it was still down the hair strand, right? So that's the one thing. And then the way that hair gets shiny is by the hot air passing over the cuticle and laying it down. So using that hot air to kind of break down the hair and lay that cuticle down, that's where you're going to see the most shine. Because when the cuticle is laying down,
smooth.
Yeah.
Any surface that's smoother looks shinier. So
yeah, the cuticle reflects light. So when people see that shiny hair, it's the cuticle laying down, and when it's up, your hair's not shiny because of that.
This is why we hate when Jerry blow dries my sister's hair, because I
gotta watch Jerry blow dry your sister's hair.
He just kind of waves the blow dryer, and just does, and then she comes down and it's like kind of poofy and frizzy. But then if my mom and I do it, it's like nice, and she has a nice little wave to it.
Carly's sister has so much hair.
Yeah,
like
so much really pretty hair though.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
it's
it's
not
great.
frizzy.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
But when her dad blows dry,
he needs to watch those videos of the guy using the vacuum. All right, so let's see. So blow drying in the wrong direction, and then I was putting the dryer far too close to my hair while it was still really wet. More frizz and damage. So the one thing I want to say about this is that I don't think people utilize towel drying enough in the salon. I don't know about at home. At home, I think people towel dry a lot, or will walk around with a towel or whatever. But in the salon, I think if you can get a really nice, don't do a lot of towel drying from the shampoo bowl to the haircut, because you want the moisture in the hair for that. But then before you start to blow it dry, you should really work on towel drying it better, and then teach the client at home to try to do as much drying as they can with a towel, and maybe even a damp towel I would recommend, because a damp towel or a damp sponge actually soaks up better than dry. You know what I mean? That's a fact. That's science.
you're like looking at me like, hey, do you know what I know?
You know what's funny?
I didn't know that.
I'm just trying to see.
I didn't realize that there's is there a difference?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, are you talking about like the quicker picker up, the quicker picker up or Bounty? Because when that's dry, it automatically picks up like anything wet.
It does. It has the quilted northern.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I don't know.
No, that's toilet paper.
I just know Oh yeah. Oh, good Lord.
I just know I have a lot of hair.
Yeah.
And when it's soaking wet, I think this is just a common sense thing.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest.
See, I
don't go attack my head with the blow dryer when I just get out of the shower. I do my makeup first like a normal person. It's you towel dry it.
Yeah.
And then you kind of like, I'm not going to go after
These are
my
tips,
head.
Though.
No, this is because I have a lot of hair.
Right.
If I had your hair, I could blow it dry right away.
Right.
Yeah.
Your hair dries literally.
And
when you get out of the shower, your hair is almost dry.
When I do use a towel, I actually don't like the blow dry and the outcome.
Yes,
like
because
of drying
it's your hair
too
type.
much.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is common sense. Know what kind of hair you have and like what's going to happen to it.
So I was gonna say, am I doing more damage?
All right. So Joel is saying, I'm in cosmetology school and rarely go over products and when to put it on. Self-education is key. Do the research and know what you're using for that specific type of hair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's totally.
Yeah, I don't even care. Like, I'll even bring my friends products because I can see their hair and they're saying that. They're telling me that, no, I did it. I'm like, no, you didn't. I know you didn't. And, like, I'll bring them whatever product. Like, even if people give us products, like, they don't have to buy it even from us. I don't even care. I'm like, I know that this is true.
So true. How light does it look? It's getting there, right? It's mannequin hair, but it's popping up. Tiffany's saying, the analogy I use with my clients is you would never take a hot cookie sheet out of the oven without an oven mitt, so don't use hot tools on your hair without heat protection. It's a good analogy. At my hair school, we had the whole day on our product line on the second week.
Do you want Carly to wash that? Or do you want me to wash it? Or do you want to just leave it sit for a
Carly can
minute?
wash it. Does it look good, Carly? Does it look light? We're going to blame it on Carly if it doesn't. Oh, you can see it right there. Nice job, Hayden. Nice switch. What does everybody think? Should we rinse it? Let's show it to them. Do you guys think on all the social medias? It's zooming in. Oh, nice. There it is. It looks pretty good from here.
Yeah, you don't want the
I don't want it to be too
Yeah.
weird. So yeah, I think that's good. And then somebody had a question if I was going to tone it, and if not, why. Joel, yeah, great techniques. Can't wait to see the end result. The haircut is fire. Are you going to tone it after lightening? If not, why? So Joel, I'm probably not going to tone it. Here's the thing with
the shape of that haircut literally is like that emoji. The
fire.
fire emoji. Like the top of it.
Yeah, I wonder if that's what he meant.
I know. That's what I was like, oh yeah, good analogy
Yeah,
there.
that's a good call. So for guys' hair, so if he specifically came in and said, I want gray highlights or like silver highlights or green, or like he wanted like some kind of like actual tone, then I would say yes. Or if he had super dark hair and it was going to go really orange, then I would make sure that I lightened it even further. But that yellowy tone, so I really wanted like kind of more of a natural look to it, nothing too crazy, maybe more California, like sunlight and kind of thing. If I toned him, he's going to shampoo his hair every day, probably. Most guys shampoo their hair every day, don't condition. So like all of these things I think about, and if I put a toner on 3 days, 4 days, 5 days later, he wouldn't have a toner left on his hair. So that's the reason I'm not going to tone it. But if it gets out here, we blow it dry and we're like, that needs something, then maybe I will throw a toner on there. Or I would throw the 10-minute men's color, maybe a lighter version of it, over top of that, which would be a really good way to go about it as well. Let's see. Everybody.
I wouldn't say any of the male clients that are that
Male clients that are that dark want highlights. It's not that, yeah, that's not that common. He's pretty dark. So usually it's just the lighter level 6 guys that want, they want to feel that summer before it's summer kind of thing. So we throw, that technique works really well. Like my client Dave that gets that, this technique done, and it's every other time he comes in, we'll throw on the lightener. We don't do it every time. We always paint his sides. He comes in every 2 weeks. So 2 weeks on, we do the whole process. The next 2 weeks, we just paint the men's color on the sides a little bit. I'll feather it through the top. And then, each time we just rotate that. Every single person said, yes, it's ready to shampoo except for Vanessa. Vanessa said no, a little longer. So she can blame everybody else. Johnny said 5 more minutes. We don't got 5 minutes, Johnny. Yeah, it probably did need more time. Impatience and trying to show you guys this end result.
Here we go.
Oh. What do you think, Carly? All right, I'm going to go over there and blow it dry and then show you guys the styling product, and we're going to style it up. Actually, Carly, do you want to start blowing it dry? Let me get that camera in focus for you.
It's still fuzzy, yeah.
I know. Thank you. You're good.
Thank you. There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's do... So we're going to start off, and I'm actually going to... I'll show you this to you, Carly. I don't know how this worked. This kind of got like... Because I do need to share with you guys these products, so I'll blow it dry, but I'm going to show you. Sorry, Carly. All right, so this product that we're going to use first is the Grooming Cream. The thing I like about this product, obviously cream-based, doesn't have a strong hold to it. So they say easy hold and definition. So instead of using a gel, which sometimes I like to use in guys' hair, just throw a gel in there to start the style because it gives it a little bit of hold. Johnny and Vanessa were correct in a way. It's not as blonde as, but it'll be nice. It looks cool because it's dark. Yeah, it's got kind of like caramel highlight. Never mind, you're wrong, Johnny. Oh my gosh. All right, so I put in the grooming cream, and now I'm going to start to blow it dry. I want to work everything down the way it wants to naturally fall, and then the top I'm going to blow dry up and kind of kick it back a little bit. So we'll start our blow dry around. Definitely in this cowlick area. Oh. Let the swirl kind of take life here. And the grooming cream will give it a nice little shine too as we're styling it. The dry paste that we're going to use on it after will give it more of a matte, so it's nice to have a little shine to it first. If you see questions there, Carly, let me know because they're not coming up over there. Okay, so now I'm going to separate a little bit of the front. I'll brush this down. And I'm just going to start working the middle, top to the crown, working that kind of up and getting a little bit of volume into it. Just to pop some volume in the root, and then I'll start blow drying it forward. So getting some height and kicking it forward. These highlights are starting to pop. So there's volume, but you can see, so that volume's starting to happen, but it's still kind of moving in that forward direction. And then at the very end, then I start popping this front up. Good smell? Yeah.
The thing got disconnected.
Oh. We lost them. There we go. Okay. All right, so now that grooming cream definitely has given it, a little bit of hold to it. So I'm just, the final product that I would choose is going to be the dry paste, which will give me just a little extra kind of all day hold. Couple key things. Let me zoom out a little bit. So a couple key things that I want to go over with men's hair with you guys real quick is that when you're blow drying men's hair, a lot of people just blow dry it to get it dry and then try to use the product to do all the work. You don't want the product to do the work. The product should just kind of hold it where you put it. So all of the heat, like the heat made this stay up. The grooming cream did a little bit of the work, but the heat molded the hair into this shape. Also gave me that lift in the back, gave me the smoothness on the sides. So all of that stuff came from not necessarily the product, but mostly the blow drying. So teaching guys to do just a little bit of that work. They don't have to blow dry their whole head, but for the most effective kind of styling throughout their day, for it to last the longest, blow drying their hair is going to be key. Also, if they put product in their wet hair, most men's products and really products in general are meant to kind of dissolve, to go away. They're water soluble, so when you shampoo it, you wash it, it goes out of the hair really easily. It doesn't build up on the hair. So if you put a men's product on top of hair that's already wet, you're going to see the effects of it breaking down on the hair and not actually holding it the way that you want it to. So those are just a couple key tips for you guys. Now I'm going to use the Maverick Dry Paste.
Do you have a favorite
Do I have a favorite paste?
for messy, piecey hair?
This is actually really good, this stuff. I would say that this is kind of my go-to in the salon right now. I also really love Mitch Clean Cut. We've used a few other like barbering brands or men's hair brands, but I always go back to this, the stuff that Paul Mitchell's doing, and it's just always worked really well, and it has a really good scent to it, which makes it easy to sell in the salon as well. So I cover my hands with a little bit of the dry paste, and then I'm just going to go through just like I did when I highlighted it, and I'm going to work that into the hair. I don't want to run my hands into it too much. I'm not trying to soak the base of the hair with it. We did that with the blow dry and the grooming cream. So now this is just to add that separation, smooth down the sides. This is the same product I used in my hair today, just in case you're wondering how he created that. I just kind of put some of the product through, run it through my hair, and then I'll go through and kind of separate it and create the pieciness. And then this little bit of weight that we built in the back of the cut prior to the color, you could see that's what I really like about leaving a little extra weight, how it kind of builds out instead of coming up and kind of cutting off the back of their head and creating a flatness to it. Just having a little bit of that extra length back there to mess around with. So that's why to me that this is kind of a hairdresser's men's cutting video, because in the salon, this is what I get a lot of requests for, is this textured, a little bit longer length. I don't think this is probably a typical barbershop request, is to get this kind of texture and the color and all that stuff. So when somebody comes in, they're looking for something new. You want to try something new on your clients, either whether it's the highlights or just creating the texture, utilizing those techniques. Hopefully you'll have this as a go-to for you guys in the salon. I think that's pretty much it. What do you guys think? Let me zoom in so you can really get a good look at it.
I like it.
You like it?
Yeah.
Well, that's good. When you get your hair back, we'll do this on you. So you can see some highlights through it.
That's pretty long hair, though.
That is pretty long. but you can see all the texture. And what I love about the color part of it is that it really kind of pops the texture into it, shows it off. So hope you guys like it. Let me know in those comments. All right, finishing it up. It's going to be a great day.
I woke up
Back to the
this way.
salon, everybody. All right, so let me see if there's very California natural look. Love the style. Great timing. Great timing. Why? And the Maverick products are doing wonders with the blow drying technique you did. Cool. Thanks, Joel. How can I get classes from you all of your technique? Go to freesaloneducation.com. You can get hands-on class tickets. Those are right here in New Hope, so you have to maybe make a little traveling, but they're a lot of fun. It's me and Carly usually. You probably see Christina as well. And it's all hands-on. Pivot point mannequins, pivot point tripods. We try to do the best stuff for you guys so that you have the best experience when you're here. So we have classes coming up May 6th and May 20th. There's still a couple tickets available in each. I think there's 3 available in for next Monday's or on the 6th, and then there's like a handful of tickets available for the 20th. It's a razor class. So hope you guys can make it if you want. Let me see. How would you style the hair of men who have hair on the sides? Men who only have hair on the sides and in the back. Donna, I think at that point, like I have a customer who actually doesn't have much hair on the top of his head. What we recommended, what we kind of came up with is he comes in every single week and we cut him super short. Not super short like to the skin, but we just cut it about a 1 on the sides, sometimes a 0 around the temple, 1 up, and then a little bit just to blend that parietal ridge. Because really what I think with guys that are bald on top and then have hair on the sides is it's that parietal ridge area that we talked about before that builds up and gets super heavy. You just need to take that down. You got to round that off because there's too much of a disconnect between them being bald and having hair on the sides. So just round it, take it short and tight, and it's just reality. It's life, like there's no way you would style it that would make it be fashionable. It just is what it is. So there's also new toupee things. We don't do it here, but you see it on the internet all the time where they shave that round part of the head and they put the hair on and it looks really cool and natural. So if some guy has an issue with his hair being like that, that's an option. You could learn to do that. So Joel's saying off topic, Matt and team, will you be at the License to Create Cleveland event in October? I actually will be there. I'll be at that Cleveland show. That's Cosmoprof. So it's the beginning of October. So yes. All right, cool. I think we're good. So I'm glad you guys liked the class. Johnny's saying Maverick has become my favorite paste. Cool. April, have you tried Victory? I haven't tried Victory. I don't know that one. Tried Victory. I don't know that one. I do know it, but I've never tried it. Those are perfect highlights for the natural look. Lighter wouldn't look very natural to me. I agree with that. It definitely, I think it was a good tone. Spot on, Carly.
I didn't put it there, but
I know.
yeah, the tone was.
You made the choice, though,
yeah.
to take it off.
Uh-huh.
And so did everybody else, except for a couple. All right, cool. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is going to be the end of the show. Thank you to MinervaBeauty.com for being a great sponsor of the show. And if you guys are looking to upgrade your furniture for your salon, go to MinervaBeauty.com. They have the best prices in the industry and the coolest products. And they keep everything in stock, so you don't have to wait weeks and weeks to get your chairs to you. So that's that. We're going to be back tomorrow.
Yes,
what do you want us to do tomorrow? What class? What would you like to see? Let us know in the comments as well. Give all your feedback. And as always, share this podcast with all of your friends, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube. Share it away so we can get as many people as possible watching this show every day. Thank you guys so much. And we will see you on the next one.
Welcome to the Matt Beck Podcast. Woke up this way. He's got a lot of cool stuff he's gonna show you today. The latest news, industry topics, and business tips. For all hairstylists and salon owners, it's time to flip the script. Grab your precision scissors, barber combs, and swivel twist razors. Let's cut a bob, a quick shag, pixie cut with a little bit of flavor. Check out the live classes, product reviews, let's rock on. Don't forget to check out freesaloneducation.com. I woke up this way. It's gonna be a great day. Chop it, clip it, spray it, flip it. I woke up this way. It's gonna be a great day. Chop it, clip it, spray it, flip it. Let me show you the way. It's gonna be a great day. Chop it, clip it, spray it, flip it. I woke up this way. It's gonna be a great day. Chop it, clip it, spray it, flip it.